Good Thursday morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We've been talking this week about the various proofs and evidences that the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which we celebrated on Easter Sunday just a few days ago, is absolutely true. But there's been so many theories and things. Try as they will to debunk that theory. Not a theory, it's truth. And so we're talking about one of those each day. Now, today, I want to talk during this time about the theory that Jesus did not really die. And this, in some ways, is one of the most absurd things. But again, it's skeptics trying to find a way to disprove Christianity. Because no resurrection from the dead, and there's no Christianity. That is the basis of our belief. Now, in John chapter 19, in verse 31, can I read this to you? It says, because the Jews did not want the bodies left on the crosses during the Sabbath, they asked Pilate to have the legs broken and the bodies taken down. The soldiers therefore came and broke the legs of the first man who had been crucified with Jesus, and then those of the other. But when they came to Jesus and found that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Instead, one of the soldiers pierced Jesus' side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. Now remember, these Roman soldiers, they were experts at crucifixion. They had killed many people in this manner. They knew when a person was dead or not. Why did the Jews ask that the legs of the three be broken? Because the only way you can breathe while stretched out on a cross, because of the pressure on your lungs, as you fall, you have to push. You had to push up with your feet on the stake that is through your feet to relieve the pressure on your lungs so that you could breathe. And so you could see a person breathing because they were lifting up, taking breaths. And so when those soldiers came to the first one, they broke his legs. He died not from bleeding to death, but from suffocation. And that's also true of the second man crucified with Jesus. But when they came to Jesus, he wasn't pushing, obviously, he was not pushing himself up on his feet. He was therefore not breathing. He clearly was dead. And in case there was any doubt, his side was pierced, and it says that blood and water came out. I've read that doctors have said that's exactly what would have happened for someone who had died in this means. Friends, Jesus was dead. There's just no doubt about it. So this theory, one of the theories then you see, where they say that Jesus faked his own death. This is how far skeptics will go. That Jesus faked his own death and later, in that weakened state, escaped from the tomb. Does that strike you as absurd? It does me. I mean, he was beaten and tortured, lacerated and stabbed. He suffered internal damage and massive blood loss. And then we know when he's not pushing himself up to breathe, asphyxiation. He couldn't get any air. And then, of course, he got that spear through through his side. No. There's absolutely no good reason to believe that Jesus, actually any other man or person for that matter, could survive an ordeal like that, could they? And then after faking his death and sit in a tomb for 3 days without any medical attention or any food or any water. And then undo from the grave clothes that they had wrapped him. And by the way, if he is alive and they wrapping him in grave clothes, they don't notice that he's alive? No, no, no. And then he is to remove a massive heavy stone that sealed the tomb. And he does that, of course, as we talked about yesterday, with the trained Roman guards guarding the tomb, and they don't wake up. That, again, absurdity. And then he escapes without leaving a trail of blood anywhere. And then he convinces hundreds of eyewitnesses that he's alive and well, and he's been resurrected from the dead, and he looks fine, and he's in good health. And then, on top of all of that, remember, he then disappears all at once without a trace. He's lifted up into the clouds, having met in Acts, recounted in Acts chapter 1, where he's with his apostles who had been with him for 3 years. They know him. They know whether it's truly him or not, don't they? And all of a sudden, he's lifted into the air, and the angel appears and says, "Men, why are you looking up? That person, he's going to return, but for now, he's gone. Time to get back and go down and get to work to tell people all over the world about him." That's the risen Lord that we worshiped on Easter Sunday. That is not someone who faked their death. No. He is alive. He is alive. He's alive and well. And he conquered death. I understand that skeptics and people fight to not believe, actually. They're so locked into their belief system that Jesus did not rise from the dead that they overlook all the evidence that he did. That he did. Friends, I hope that is not you. But if in your spiritual journey, you've not yet come to know Jesus as your Savior, I pray that you just absorb all these things this week. Mull them over. Think them over. Research. Do your own research. And then come to your own conclusion. And I think that the only conclusion that makes logical sense is that indeed the Bible is true. You know, the fact of Jesus was recorded in numerous Jewish history books, Josephus being the biggest and most famous one, but several others also talk about Jesus. In fact, they even talk about the fact that his followers believe that he was resurrected from the dead. I would go further than just recording it that way. They're the ones who gave their lives. Well, we're going to finish up the week with another more subtle proof. I think you'll find it very interesting. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give